Welcome to Decker Tech. I'm Aaron Decker, and today we're doing Evelyn, the Frost Queen herself, and she's actually let it go and doing the Frost side of things this time. We will be doing Frost damage, DPS, destroying the world, freezing it down, that kind of thing. Evelyn is a pretty strong DPS at the moment. Patches say that Wet and Frost are strong. Go figure. Before I get too far into it, I would like to say that the channel is, I kind of haven't decided where the goals of the channel are right now. In the meantime, the best things you can do to help the channel are to share this with someone you know that may like it, and show you some support on letting me know what you'd like to see next. I have to bring the schedule either back down a little bit or make some better financial goals here to keep this channel going. So let me know what you'd like to see and what you like best, and that'll help me make the best decision that is right for you. Yeah, let's get to Evelyn. We are doing the Frost damage. There are two ways to build this right now that I think are viable. One is the Frost Wet or the Chill Wet. I think that's probably the better way to go. Another option is Chill Burn. The burn side is just there to help lower some lower the resistance of the opponents, kind of like how the Wet is increasing the damage. Both of these you're gonna have to pick up the applicable perks for it. For this guide, we'll do everything that is Frost Wet, or sorry, Chill Wet. And I will mention it here or there, a couple things that if you're doing the chill burn strategy would be different. But for the most part, it should be pretty straightforward way to see the differences. Basically, any wet cards you see here, replace them with bird cards that you'd see in the other version. Yep, enough of that. Talents. Numero uno, the starting talent. All this says is that Evelyn is a little more tanky against elements. Has nothing to do with our damage. Okay, check. Next up, enchant weapons versus elemental proliferation. If you're doing the burn version, the proliferation works, but since we're doing the wet version, the damage with hit apply burn actually is counterintuitive and burns away our water, and our water will douse the fire. So you can't really take elemental proliferation in the chill wet version, which is fine because enchant weapons is very strong. You can't really see it here on this tooltip, but I believe in the Tome of Knowledge I should be able to do enchant. Whoops, I can type here. Cards, enchant. The enchant weapons will actually give us the ability to do things like electric weapon or fiery weapon. What these say is basically plus damage of the correct type, transfer all the damage to that, and apply the applicable debuff to it. So in this case, that's going to be plus 2 or 3 chill damage or cold damage, and applying chill on hit, which are all things we want for the Frost Queen herself. Level 3, versatile here. It says different thing based on the elements. We're going to be casting a lot of cold spells, and cold spells give block. We do not need block, so this is a dead skill to us. We'll be taking Elemental Amplifier, which just says, hey, we apply more chill. And applying more chill is great because it lowers the resistance faster on the opponent and makes it so that we can do more damage. Our damage scaling happens faster, which is great for us. Level 4, Arcane Conduit is more of a support build to help us draw through our deck. It does have the ability to gain Powerful, which is nice, which I wouldn't say no to it. Like, this is definitely a playable card if you need to make your deck more consistent, but hopefully you're funneling enough resources to Eve and you have a consistent enough deck that you can just pick up Spell Echo. Nice thing about Spell Echo, yes, it gives Powerful. It is a little delayed, yet it's after you cast your first spell, but it's really here just to copy the most powerful card in our deck, or in our hand at any given time. So this just says play best card twice, as long as you can play it at least once the first time. Level 5, Elemental Weaver says we get a little extra energy, which is nice, but more importantly, I'd like plus 60% damage. Yes, please. So Glass Cannon is the way to go. If you find that you just can't afford to lose 25 hit points, I would recommend just getting better equipment and picking up Glass Cannon. Like, if the minus 25 hit points is making you scared, find ways to buff that through itemization, because 60% damage is a very big deal. But if all else fails, Elemental Weaver is going to give you a little extra energy. We're really only going to be casting cold spells, though, so this is really only +1 energy. You can fill in an extra fire or lightning if you have to, but there's really very few downsides to picking up Glass Cannon. All right, let's get to the starting deck. So with Evelyn, she is the generalized mage, right? She's not into any specific element. She does become the default Frost one because none of the other mages really dig too deep into Frost. The new Shadow Mage does a little bit, but for the most part, no one does frost better than Evelyn, so she will default to frost. So we're going to cut everything that wasn't frost there. So we're cutting all the fire spells. We'll eventually want to cut these charged batteries. I just have them here because I couldn't find anything to fill them with, because we want to bring our average cost down. We want to fill as much chill cold cards in as possible. And of the cold spells, let's get the rarity down here. We want to fit it with ones that are preferably efficient attacks. So AoEs, so Frost Nova, that comes in, and repeats. There are no repeats. It would be nice to pick up a Shatter. I couldn't afford the shards for it. So actually, the biggest issue is that this Shatter is only single target. You can pick up and upgrade to the AoE Shatter right away. I would say if you had enough shards that you could easily pick up the Shatter, because even though it's a rare here, and that's why I didn't filter it in my starting deck, you should be able to craft the uncommon version and then upgrade it. It is just a little more pricier. So remember, these guides are based on the whole spectrum, Madness 0 to Madness 16. I don't expect everyone to be able to craft the Shatter right away, but this is a card that's going to be in our deck for the entire game, so don't be afraid to pick it up now. It's a little expensive on the energy cost, but you should be funneling energy and cards to Evelyn, and the payoff for the Shatter requires you to have a lot of chill on your targets, which we don't necessarily have the pieces for that yet until the Act 2 deck list, which is why it's not included here. But don't be afraid. If you find it in a divination, pick it up now and keep it. You will keep it through the rest of the thing. We'll talk about the rest of these rare cards that you'll pick up in Act 2 later. So if you have more resources, jump to the Act 2 section, and we'll talk about all the cards there. But for the most part, all we're really trying to fill in is we need to add a little bit of powerful. And the best way to do that is unstable power. It also draws a card to make it so that we can thin through our deck faster. We will eventually cut these just because we don't want to be wasting energy on them. We'd rather get powerful through other means. But in the starting town in the first act, it's really hard to get powerful, so these are a great pickup for now. Then we also see we've added a bunch of cards that say wet. Specifically just the rains, because we want to get this energy cost low enough that we can actually cast these Frost Bolts and Frost Novas, because Evelyn's deck is just a little on the pricey side, expensive wide, and there's not really many wet applicators. Most of them are rare, and we don't want to be spending energy on water jets, and we'd rather just be dealing the frost damage. Like, water jet's a nice, like, it says frost, it says wet, but we'd rather just do a big chunky frost bolt, because water jets and frost bolts are not going to be staying in our deck for the rest of the game, if that makes any sense. So the cards that are here that are really going to stay, none of them are. These are all just really filler cards. Mana Gem will stick with us, and Ice Lances will stick with us for the rest of the game. Everything else is just a filler card until we can get the more pricey cards. We get our talent cards and level ups. All right, so sorry, Cold Spark will stick with us as well. So as you can see, we have a lot of things that say frost and chill and powerful. So let's go take a look at perks. Perks. This first 4 sections, those are to your heart's content. Do you see fit? This is where just all the leftovers go. Me, on my difficulties, I need shards and resistances. You can fill these in as your heart contents. Get the right amount of speed, so you're going as fast as possible, but preferably last. Since we're doing Evelyn as a DPS, I would like the rest of my team to go before her. Everyone should be picking up the first 2 starting energies, because why not? I do have Evelyn here. She's got some extra perks, so she picked up the team. Vulnerable is +1 and decays slower. Sometimes you'll just pick up, because we don't really have many things we need to spend stuff on. All we really need is this powerful perks. Either the 12 stacks or the stacks are twice as powerful but fall off every turn are viable. I normally, if you can get to 10 stacks of powerful a turn, I highly recommend doing this one. It is the strongest damage increase, but this one is perfectly fine and a lot easier to manage. The stacks decay only by 1 and they go higher. Adding chill. For the chill perk here, we want +1 charges. Yes, it's okay. Like, if we're pairing ourselves with anyone that does blunt, you want to get this chill equals blunt. We're not talking about that build here. Chill reducing speed at lower charges by 4 instead of 5, I mean. This one, yes, it's nice to slow down our enemies, but that's not the goal of the chill in this build. The goal of the chill in this build is to reduce their resistances. So we want to increase our DPS on this hero. So a lot of these other ones don't increase our cold DPS. The only one that does is +1 charges. So we're going to be picking up the charges there. And on wet, Evelyn doesn't have to be the one to pick this up, but someone does. Wet also increases cold damage taken by 1 per charge. This means that that +1 damage that wet does to lightning is now applying to cold, and that is what this is what makes the chill wet combo so strong, is adding this wet, increasing the cold damage. And then pick up the extra inspire because we always want more cards. And yeah, other biggest thing is bless. We are going to be stacking bless on Evelyn if possible, and you want bless to be doing 1.5 damage instead of 1. Yep. That's all there is for perks. Pretty straightforward. We're just doing frost DPS, and like I said, there's very few things. Like, this is a very straightforward build. All you're applying is chill and wet. So I had plenty of extra perk points to be thrown around extra places, like in my resistances or my shards, stuff like that. Usually your DPS is the one that spends the most perks, but as you can see, I had a bunch of extras lying around. All right, next up, we are going to do a first combat example for Act 1. Now, this one, I play fairly efficiently, and this is only -14. So I'm going to apply vulnerable to, I'm checking out the resistances. I'm looking for the things that have the most cold resistance, since that's the type of damage Evelyn's going to be doing. So I'm making it on the elite who has the most hit points and the sheep who has the highest cold resistance. Passing around some block, and yeah. Now I did forget, I haven't mentioned yet, but you should be pairing Evelyn with a mage, because this mage can apply more what's the word, wet to the enemies. Also, Wilbur's really nice because he gets to do things like copy spells over. At the beginning, all I'm doing is copying over rain, just because it's the efficient card. This says +3 damage to all monsters for 0, and it's the 4-0 part that we're talking about that is really important for this comp, because I do not have much energy yet. Let me try to remember how to play this game. Not going to talk too much about these other teammates because they are not the focus of this video. But the whole important thing is here is I'm buffing Evelyn, because she is my big damage dealer, and I made it so we all went fast enough so the monsters haven't taken a turn yet. Evelyn's going before the monsters and giving her lots and lots of pretty buffs to make it so that she can have the best turn possible. You won't always have the ability to set this up so nice, that's okay, but I would like to show you the top of the line Evelyn abilities here. So the cards in Evelyn's deck, these charged batteries are easily the worst. I could probably ditch a Frostbolt or 2 and try to dig for the Frost Nova, but I can't really guarantee the Frost Nova. So what I'll do is I'll just get rid of these charged batteries. The rains are nice, cold sparks are nice. I have a lot of everything else here is what I want to do with my game plan. It would be nice to grab another AoE, but I don't think I'll be able to find that. Alright, so I have Cold Spark. Cold Spark has a weird play pattern where you want to cast it early, but you actually want to be applying the rains before the Cold Sparks, because that'll increase both the chill and the spark damage by 1 per wet. So it's actually more efficient to play the rains before the Cold Spark. So I need to draw first. Draw. And Powerful. Powerful is a big deal. And then rains to apply the bonus damage. And then I need to do Cold Spark next. This is the strongest the Cold Spark's going to be. Let's just pop it on the front guy here. Blam. And now I can do the rest of this stuff. I've got 3 Frostbolts and 2 Ice Lances. I do have the Frozen Orb here, so my damage is a little higher than usual, but it's this powerful, it's this little bit of bless, and it's really all this wet. This wet is what gets us through the early game and does the Archon fight at the end. So my weakest attack here, blam. Single shot here, blam. Don't have quite enough damage to kill off both of these. This one's going to speed himself up and take a turn next turn, and this one's going to do an AoE attack. I actually like the AoE attack better. I don't want to be surprised by what this piggy is going to do next turn. So let's just kill the piggy and prep the sheep for its demise. And the nice thing about speeding up your team and having Evelyn go before the enemy is that then she'll be applying all this chill. Like at the beginning here, yes, this is only reducing the speed by 1, but as the game progresses, she'll be making that more and more, like she'll be much more efficient at applying the chill and making it so that all of the enemies go after you on turn 2 as well, which means it makes it very nice and beneficial so that your team stays nice and safe and you get as many turns as possible for the enemy. So that's the nice thing about the chill team is you will be slowing down the enemies and you will be able to ensure that turns 2 and turns 3 you are going before them, as long as you manage those slows as appropriately. All right, let's go to Act 2 deck list. In Act 2, sorry, I had to see if you could hear the background noise here. Hopefully you can't. In Act 2, what we did was we now have enchant weapons. We now have the ability to add in these rare cards. We'll talk to those in a second. And what's the other thing I added here? I don't know. I can never remember. Whatever. Either way, I cut those charge batteries. I don't want them lying around. And now what we're looking to do is start to add in some of these cold spells, these rare ones that we couldn't craft at the beginning. Blizzard, you still probably won't have access to yet. We'll talk about that in the Act 4 deck list. Cold Snap. This one's really strong. I recommend pairing it with Shifting Scroll. We'll also talk about that in the Act 4 deck list. Elemental Bolt we don't really need because there's only one version that does cold damage. And yes, it is cold and lightning, which is the best combination for us. But it applies that burn. And we really don't want to be burning away our cold stacks. If you are going the level 5 elemental proliferation, not elemental proliferation, the cast one of all 3 elements, this is the ticket for you. But we don't want it because it's applying burn and that's anti-synergistic. Geyser is pretty nice because it's double dipping in Bless. It has 2 damage types, so when we add 1 Bless, we're adding 3 damage instead of 1.5, so that's really nice. But the problem is, it's just so expensive for a single target. The best ones are either the ones that transform chill to wet, and you'd use that on like a boss or someone, so you get max wet stacks. But then you just lost all your chill stacks, so like that kind of sucks. And then otherwise, it's just this other one. It's applying wet and chill, both things we want, but it's 3 energy for a single target. When instead we could be applying things like, oh, I don't know, 3 energy for all targets, and we apply both chill, we double dip into Bless, and it's scaling based on our chill. So we'd much rather be doing things like this, where we'd hit everyone for 3 energy instead of just a single target. So yes, Geyser is cool and all, but the problem is it just lacks from AoE or repeat, which would be nice. Ice Comet's just super expensive. Icicles are okay. Icicle Barrage. So this one's pretty nice because it hits 3 times. So you put 3 icicles in your hand. The problem with this is if we're not going the self-chill version, this has been nerfed and balanced around the self-chill, the blue version. And it vanishes out of our deck. It would be nice for a single target boss or something, but since it vanishes out of the deck, I don't really need it, and I'd rather just use that space in my deck for something else that doesn't vanish out. I want my vanishes to be the AoEs because in the long fights, I need good single target damage. And so, like, hopefully I explained that well. My single target damage, I want to stick around. My AoEs, I don't need to stick around because the last target alive, like, you AoE everything down, and then you want your deck to be just that single target afterwards, and this Icicle Barrage just fits backwards into that template, if that makes any sense. Ray of Frost just doesn't scale very well for being so expensive. You have to really have its cost reduced to be efficient. Shatter, yes please, always and forever. You'll do the AoE Shatter for any AoE fights or boss or like Hydra or any non-boss fights, and then you'll do the blue Shatter for boss fights. So basically you'll be sticking around with this yellow Shatter up until the Archon fight, and then you'll switch to this blue. I'll remind you about that later. Squall, this is really nice. Usually you want to put this on your support mage instead of your main DPS mage though, just because as you can see there's a lot of these 3-cost energy spells that we're going to be looking at, and the wet is a nice setup, it's not a nice payoff. I'd rather have the payoff cards on Evelyn and the setup cards on Wilbur. Winter is Coming is basically one of the setup cards. In this setup I have it on Evelyn. Maybe Wilbur can do it, but with Wilbur I also want to be copying spells over to Evelyn, so there's this weird finessing there. Nice thing about Winter is Coming is I can transfer this wet to chill, which is bad if you're at max chill and max wet, but if you're not at max chill yet, I find chill is actually a faster scaling damage item than wet if you have Bless. So I play with the Winter is Coming, and I suggest this because you should also be trying to get Bless on Evelyn. And just the fact that 1 wet becomes 3 chill is a really good ratio. So I recommend trying this out. If you're not running Bless or you don't have a lot of support for the Evelyn, I would probably cut this and focus on something else, because this does rely on, the idea is I want to get to 200 chill on turn 1 and shatter on turn 1. But you could take it a little slower and just try to stack both of them to cap, because the downside of this Winter is Coming is I lose all those wet stacks, which I don't want on the boss or anyone that I need to stack both to max amounts. I'm a little babbly. Once we start talking about these cards and the discussions, there's just so much to talk about, and I keep getting sidetracked here. And then, of course, the other card here is Winter Orb. This is the single target damage we want. This is what you're going to kill Archon with. It is a rare, so you can pick it up pretty early, and it is fairly good all around in many fights. Problem is it's just not as efficient as, say, Frost Nova when it comes to energy and targets when we're doing AoE fights. But I definitely wouldn't say to having one now. Mainly, I'd rather go Winter is Coming into Frost Nova or Winter is Coming into Blizzard early on, and then later on we'll pick up the Frost Orb, the Winter Orb for the single target fights. That didn't go as well as I like. Hopefully that answered all your questions about chills and which ones I want. There are actually a lot of options at the rare level, but the goal is you want to do a little bit of setup and then you want some payoff. And there are a lot of avenues to do this with. It's pretty straightforward answer is Winter Orb for single target, Blizzard for AoE, and then Shatter. Where's Shatter? Shatter, and switch it between whichever one you want, AoE or single target. So as long as you have some way to apply chill, Shatter's going to be your best card, and the best ways to apply chill are either going to be Blizzard for the AoE or Winter Orb for the single target. There, I could have just stuck with that and said that. Yep. Alright, talked about cold spells. Let's talk about items. So, we are going to be sticking with things that synergize around these cold spells. With the new Frost Zone, there's a lot of love for the Frost build. The reason I think that the Chill Wet strategy is stronger than the Chill Burn strategy is because of Freezing Ink. This is a guaranteed item off of Feyborg, which is the Frost Biome or Blue Biome boss. And this says, whenever you play a book, apply Chill and Wet to all your monsters. Well, turns out you want to pair a mage with a mage. So Evelyn wants a Wilbur or a Cornelius support, preferably the Wilbur. And Wilbur will just be tossing out some books, putting Chill and Wet on all the enemies to prep up for Evelyn. And would you know, in the Frost zone, there's also this really nice, cool Dracomancer staff, where you can just get +3 cold, +3 chill, and the added bonus of a free card every once in a while. Like if you do go to turn 2, hey, you have a stun. Nice. It's just the +3 cold and +3 chill that you're really looking for here, because you're not guaranteed to pick up a Frozen Orb. If you do pick up the Frozen Orb, you don't really need to pick up the staff. It is only just a minor upgrade, but you can, the staff is guaranteed, so I'd rather path around that, you know what I mean? And then if I happen to luck into a Frozen Orb, maybe I take a different path for some reason or the other. But then on the Feyborg, not only do you get Freezing Ink on your support, but you can also get the Frozen Tier on Evelyn, which says plus more frost, cold and chill, which is everything we want. So it's really nice to, really nice setup item-wise. You can pick up the weapon for your main DPS, and then on the boss fight, you can pick up the weapon for your support and the ring for your main DPS. So it pairs out really well here. And then otherwise, there's not really any other. For the direct damage chill, if we're doing the self chill version, that's a completely different story. But for the direct chill, that's nice. Cold Book is a nice pickup, but really, since you're guaranteed a fantastic weapon, there's no reason to plan on any other weapon, if that makes any sense. And this one, you have to go in the right path in the cold zone. I don't have that loaded up here. Actually, maybe I do. Right here. So, you get the Dracomancer staff here at the Maniac Mansion. Maniac? Why did I say Maniac? Anyway, you can't go this path because this pops you out right after this fight. It pops you out right here. So you actually have to enter the city through the south entrance and go up here to the mansion. And then for the options, you have to pick the one that says fight the Dracomancer, and that'll give you the staff. And then, of course, final boss is where you get all the other goodies. All right, enough about that. Let's go to Act 4. We'll talk about the Act 4 deck lists. and then we'll do the last little fight example, and then I'll check my notes and see if I missed anything. Act 4. All right, so now we have our deck is super efficient. We now have this Shatter, and like I said, on the final steps before Archon, you're going to flip it to the single target that doesn't vanish, because we want the non-vanishing single target. But for all the AoE fights, this is a great AoE. I have a very heavy deck here. Like this is pretty heavy on the energy cost, and I'm filling it up with as much zero cost support items and cards as possible. What's nice is with this Cold Snap. Cold Snap says, hey, I can put a card from my discard back in my hand and have it reduce less. You can either do the 1 gives 2 back for 2 less, so this gives you a best net 3 energy for 2 cards, and this says net 3 energy on 1 card. It's actually probably better to just go the 0 cost, bring 1 back for 3. I do this one because it gives me more options. I probably should have just recommended the 0 cost one, honestly. The blue version is a lot easier to execute, in my opinion. But the idea is, I'm going to have Wilbur is going to copy a spell over here, and I'll show you the example here. He's going to give me a spell, and I can either cast it right away and then bring it back with Cold Snap, or I can actually manually discard it myself with Shifting Scroll and bring it back with Cold Snap to save up on energy. So we'll see that in an example. You want to pair this Shifting Scroll and this Cold Snap together to make it so that you can get as cheap as spells as possible and cast them as many times as possible. Kind of craft your turn based on how much energy you have. And like I said, AoE Blizzard is best. Single target Winter Orb is best. I enjoy the Winter is coming. If you don't want it, that's fine. Shatter is basically mandatory. I would say these bottom 3 here, Shatter, Winter Orb, and Blizzard. Always want those. Cold Snap is an easy pickup. It just saves you on energy. And everything else here is 0 cost, deck efficiency, energy efficient cards. Because I do not want to be spending my energy on anything other than these powerful cards that I'm going to copy. Because as it is, I can't cast all of them in one turn because they're so expensive. All right, enough babbling there. Let's go do the combat example. I feel like I'm losing my train of thought here. All right, so my team is super efficient. I have Wilbur going first because he can manipulate the speed of my team. I've got Shifting Scroll here because what I'd like to do is I'd like to find this Blizzard or Winter Orb, depending on what the fight is. I want this Blizzard. I'm going to reduce it, and while I'm casting these books, this Freezing Ink is applying. Let me find my Twin Scrolls. And my Inspire Book of Awesomeness. And let's bring this Blizzard down to 3. So now I have a 3-cost Blizzard I'm going to give to Evelyn. And what do you know? I actually have enough energy to cast it myself. And before I cast it myself, I'll speed up my team. I'll slow down the enemies. And overall, they're all slow. We're all fast. They've got lots of debuffs. And Evelyn has a 3-cost Blizzard in her hand. So things are going great. Whoops, I was supposed to enrage first because I am talking while playing. I make mistakes. It is what it is. Alright, Helping Hands to the Neglect. Give Evelyn a better turn. And apply a little bit of Vulnerable because that's what Magnus does. Even if you don't have all these wonderful, beautiful people blessing you and making your turn better, you can still do just 1 or 2 of these things combined with a little bit of a deck efficiency on your own, and you'll be fine. Like, yes, I'm giving Powerful to Evelyn from Nez. I'm giving Powerful from Wilbur. Like, a lot of these things, if you can't get it from your teammate, you have access to it yourself. These are just... You play with what you got. Faded Future. This is a really great one. This says, hey, your next card... next 2 turns, your cards... your most expensive card costs 0. So, yes. Please. What am I missing here? And that. Alright. So, I now have options. Lots and lots of options. I would like to Shifting Scroll to find other options. I'm actually going to cost this. See this 3-cost Blizzard that Wilbur gave me? I'm actually going to put it in the discard. And let's draw some more cards here. Bam. So I got 10 energy. I can cast spells twice. I need to enchant my weapons to frost. And yeah, I can go casting. So I'm going to transfer all that wet into chill. We're at 96 chill. I'm going to blizzard. Well, they're all dead. I would say how much chill they're at. They're at 148 chill. I can cold snap back 2 blizzards. Yeah, that sounds good. Like, you can see I could have been casting a frost orb instead. Like, I just have so many options. This cold spark, if I had left it when the enchant weapons was still going, would be doing 127 twice instead of this 52 spark. Like, I just have so many options. Blammo. And the reason it scaled so fast is, one, I had a little bit of bless, but as you can see, it wasn't that much bless. I had, mainly it was the max powerful, and I was finding ways to get the chill and wet up super fast. And getting to max stacks of chill is what really made that fight so so powerful. I wonder if I could I would go test another fight, but I think you've seen enough there. Let me check my notes. So common example, pets. Oh, we didn't talk about pets in the Tome of Knowledge. Actually, if I go to the pet shop, do I have a pet shop? I have a pet shop here. I do not have a pet shop. I looked at the map. So I can press buttons. Items. So chill, cold, wet, wet. So of the pets was cold, Chumpy. So Chumpy brings the rain. That's going to increase the this. You want this on your support mage or one of your supports there. You don't get the benefit in turn till turn 2, but it's still nice to be applying more wet to the team to increase, or the enemies, to increase your damage. And then on Evelyn, of course, you can be running the daily for the icicle launcher. This is just going to be scaling with all of your cold damage and bless and stuff like that, and all your perks. The one downside to this is you might accidentally silence yourself on certain enemies. So I do say, with caution, bring an attacking pet. But since you don't really have many spells that aren't attacks anyway, it's not as dangerous as some other casters. Yeah, that's really all there are pets-wise. I wish I had a better way. Let's see. There's other options are, of course, the non-damaging pets. Just Ocules to burn through the buffer. And Stormy, when he's upgraded to the Corrupted Stormy, will actually be applying wet to the entire enemy team. That's pretty nice. Yeah. And other safe pets to pick up are Asmodee or Slimy, just to increase your resistances without doing an attacking pet. Yes. I feel like I'm in the babbling mood. Team comps. So why did I play this team comp? This one in particular, Wilbur, I need to bring a mage. This mage is going to be bringing the Shifting Scrolls, Bookworm Twin Scrolls combination, where he can basically, with this deck, he can guarantee passing me either a 2-cost Winter's Orb or a 3-cost Blizzard, which is really nice. And I can either cast that and then bring it back with Cold Snap and cast it again. And then Book Mages are also nice because they're going to be, have a little bit of speed manipulation, and I can be applying Inspire to the team and applying energy. And as you saw, Evelyn has troubles with energy. And because people like to see this, I'll look at his equipment, his level ups and traits, and his perks, because you never know what people want to see. But he is really here just to make Evelyn's life easier with also great carrier for this Freezing Ink. I'd say this Freezing Ink is really just what solidifies needing a mage as your support for Evelyn. I want to find ways to guarantee casting this as many times as possible. Magnus is here for AoE protection and vulnerable to the enemies. Does so with the usual suite of things. He has his own guide, as you've seen before. And Nesglict, I like Nesglict because he's a very efficient way of applying Bless on turn 1. Divine Power is something I leaned really heavily on in the early acts to get the powerful on Evelyn, since I cut her powerful cards, because the problem with her powerful cards is you have to be spending the energy for it. And I didn't really, because you're going to the blue biome, you don't have many items that are giving you powerful. So having this Divine Power is nice. And Neglect just also has the Faded Future, which means I can have a 0-cost Blizzard on turn 1, and has the Night Terror, which can really reduce the resistances for turn 1 or boss fights. And then his level ups, his equipment, and his perks. I would say one thing I forgot to mention in the items section, which I will go do now, is you go blue biome for sure. But you can also go, next you can go green biome. And what you want to do is you want to pick up the Storm Tiara on your supporting role member. And if you don't have a better armor for yourself, you can pick up the Titan Gauntlets for yourself, for Evelyn. So this will give you that powerful every turn. Make sure you're capped down on powerful. And since all of your equipment, you're basically locked into, like I had leather gloves. Like you just pick up the Titan Gauntlets instead. I think I went red biome instead of green in this one. But I'd go green to pick up the guaranteed powerful slot here, because your weapon and your ring are already covered, and usually this ring slot is where you're going to find a lot of your powerful items. So yes, if a power coil came up, I'd replace the frozen tier, but I'm guaranteed this staff and this tier. So it's really my only other slots I want to really worry about are picking up these, and going the green biome can give you a powerful here on the weapon. I mean on the armor. Yep. I feel like I'm super babbly. If you like this video, please let me know by sharing it with others that may like it. Let me know what else other guides you'd like to see. I do have the Wilbur guide coming out later as well. We're a little behind on schedule, but that's how life goes, and I will try to make a consistent schedule and feel where the course of this channel will be going. And yep, I will catch you later. Peace.